How about that?
You gotta have your mic on. He's on both. Joe Boo's on both.
Let me get my mic turned on here.
Can everyone hear him?
Do we got a mic? My mic quit working. Anyway, got it working. Hi, Julie, Brian. So a few folks on TikTok. This is one of my t-shirts. If you want one of my t-shirts, you're going to have to go to my YouTube channel, to my store. They're not available on TikTok. I'm not putting them on TikTok. They're available on my channel on YouTube. Go to my channel and subscribe. My store's right there under my picture. You can't miss it. I've got 8 or 10 different shirts. Got some V-necks. Anyway, hi, YouTube. How are you guys doing? Dow Jones was down about 450, 500 points. Last time I looked. I don't know where it's at right now, but it was down again, of course. Of course. Hey, Black Sheep. Well, there's different colors. You don't have to buy the color that's on the picture. You know, they make more than one color. But I don't know if you've ever bought a shirt before. 373. Dow was down 373. Have I commented on gas at a 4-year low? Well, it's not at a 4-year low. So, yeah, I have commented on it. Gas was actually 10 cents cheaper just in December. Gas is not at a 4-year low. They're looking for something good to talk about because everything else is terrible. Gas is not at a 4-year low. Anybody can look that up. It's super easy. Gas is 308 today. In December, it was 298. December was not 4 years ago. December was 4 months ago. Oil was down to about 66.90. Pretty much flat, though. Natural gas started off down, way down this morning, and then it skyrocketed this afternoon because the inventory report came out, and we had a 62 billion cubic feet withdrawal in inventories. This is what I've been talking about with you guys, even in the springtime when temperatures are mild. And, you know, I said prices would fall a little bit, and they have. But we're using more natural gas than we're producing, even in mild temperatures. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for summer when you see natural gas jump 40 cents in a day in the middle of spring. That's not good at all. The RBOB is about 215, so it's near 6-month highs. That means gas prices are going to rise, as I've been telling you, as long as that RBOB holds, and I think it will. Gas prices are about to rise a little bit. It's, you know, gas prices were up 8 cents last week in the state of Texas. And that's because that's where they start. When they introduce the summer blend, they start in the most southern states and they work their way north because summer starts right in the south before anywhere else. So we're seeing gas prices rise in the south. That will make its way north. I did see a judge ruled today that the Trump administration has to rehire like 20,000 or something employees that they fired. We'll see if that happens. Is Devon Energy a good natural gas play? They're decent. I think you could do better. I think there's better natural gas plays, but I don't really give stock advice. But I will tell you there's better than Devon. Devon's not bad, but I would look more towards pure natural gas players. NASDAQ is down 245 points, says Peter. That's a lot for the NASDAQ. That's a lot. How many years can the United States pump this much oil? Not that many. Not that many. Jill, we got a fake Mr. Global in the YouTube chat.
Yes.
Unless it's automatically sending messages for me now, which I don't think it is.
No, that's not you. I'm gonna go to the channel. No, it's not you. It's definitely not. That is weird. And so Robert said, "Please be kind." In the chat, Robert, I wasn't trying to talk to you specifically. All I seen was your comments on there, and I don't want to be rude to anyone, and I don't want people being rude in the chat. So that is why I did that. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I will be watching everyone. I'm doing 2 chats, so I'm doing 2 chats, and sometimes it's hard to keep up. And I am sorry, but I will pay more attention.
Smarty Pants is tripping pipe with only 400 meters to TD. That sucks. If y'all don't know what that means, he's almost to bottom and he has to do a bunch of extra work. That's basically how to put that in layman's terms. You know, what's he, about 1,200 feet from down, and got to make a trip. This story out of Connecticut's crazy. This story out of Connecticut's crazy. If you guys maybe not heard about it, I would be shocked if anybody hasn't heard about it. But Connecticut woman, Kimberly Sullivan, 56, of Waterbury, Connecticut, kept her stepson in captivity for over 20 years. He set fire to the house to escape. Yeah. The 32-year-old man weighed 68 pounds. He was completely emaciated. His BMI was 11. Anything over, I believe we decided last night, Joe Boo was in the live, I think it was anything under 13, and you're supposed to be gone, right? He was at 11. The man had been abused since he was 3 years old. He'd been locked in a room basically since he was 11, I believe. And he's now 32. 32-year-old man locked in a room since he was 11 years old, 68-pound, 32-year-old man. And what, 68 pounds is like, what did we say? A 9 or 10-year-old maybe? 8, 9, 10-year-old? Turns out some other family members knew about this. Is that correct, Jill? Was it the
Grandmother.
the grandmother knew about it? The father?
Yes, the father knew about it before he had passed, yes. So they knew about it. There was one more person that knew about it too. I can't remember.
Was it his biological mother?
I think so.
Yeah, so, you know, we had just an unbelievable story. This is going to be a movie. I'm telling you, this is going to be a movie. If you go down this rabbit hole and go looking for this story, you might want to have an hour or two to kill, because you're going to get wrapped up in it, and you're going to just read and read and read. Just insane. Reminds me of what we talked about last night, Ariel Castro. You remember that guy that kept the 3 women? This is in Waterbury, Connecticut. And by the way, when you see the lady's picture, notice that her forehead looks like a washboard. That I'm just gonna throw that out there and leave it at that. Her forehead totally looks like a washboard. You'll see what I mean. I got.
You did not say that.
What do you mean I didn't say that? I just said that.
I know you did.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. I literally just said that.
I know you did.
Can I not say that? I mean,
You can say.
it's not my fault her head looks like a washboard. What? It does. I mean, okay, let's all pretend the lady that kept a hostage for over 20 years, let's all pretend her head doesn't look like a washboard. You know, we wouldn't want to hurt her feelings. Um, what? I'm just saying. Yes, Jobu, that is a thing. Her head looks like a washboard. It's totally a thing. Look, here's what if you wanted, you could wash this new t-shirt on my store on YouTube. You could wash this on her forehead because it is a washboard. And it's 100% cotton, I believe.
Looked like a toolbox, and we were like a toolbox.
No, I said her head looked like a workbench. And yeah. But, you know, a workbench, a washboard, what's the difference? Zero Week. Gerald says Zero Week. So a lot of people don't know what Zero Week is. It's, you know, that's a huge conference. Usually have it in Houston. A bunch of oil and gas executives get together, talk about how great they are. Reuters, Zero Week IEA chief sees need for investments in existing oil and gas fields. Yeah, but those investments aren't coming. Those investments aren't coming. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Those investments are not coming. They're not. Look, there are people in this country that get rich on Donald Trump, but it's the oil and gas guys. They're gonna wait. They're not gonna get rich on Donald Trump. I saw where a woman was missing for 6 days in Indiana. They found her alive in a car accident. Well, that's awesome. Government shutdown, is that a thing? Is that happening? I don't know. Did the CR pass the House? Do you know? They canceled it. Jobu says it passed the House. I can always count on Jobu. Passed the House.
The House narrowly.
Has it gone up? Has it gone up for a vote in the Senate yet, or? I'm behind on the government shutdown, as you can see. Oh man, how, you know, I saw someone in the chat, you know, blame it on the Dems. How is it the Dems' fault if the Republicans control everything? Senate votes tomorrow. Okay. Dow Jones down 450 points. You know, I don't know. They always pass this stuff, right? Hi, Alex from Bethany. What does it take to get sustainability in our state? What kind of sustainability specifically are you talking about? They need 8 Democratic votes in the Senate. They need 60 votes then, huh? Okay.
Yes, it has to be 60. So they would need, I think, 7 or 8 Democrats, I can't remember, to agree to it.
Yeah. Well. I honestly haven't paid that much attention to it. So, because what is it? Like every 6 months we're looking at a government shutdown. Like our Congress is so dysfunctional. It seems like, I don't know, for what, the last 10 years, every 3-6 months or some shit, we're looking at another government shutdown because God forbid we pass a budget. God forbid we have any policies. God, we don't have an energy policy. We haven't had an energy policy since Barack Obama. We just been doing whatever, basically. Any new trade wars? Yeah, I believe the Trump administration, or what was it? The EU slapped a bunch of tariffs on us in response to us slapping some tariffs on the EU. Yeah, it's just, it's a never-ending cycle of stupidity. How much of the U.S. economy is based on oil and gas? It's about 7% of our GDP. Oil and gas is about 7% of our GDP. So, the kind of crazy thing about shutting down the government is it cost us significantly more money to shut down the government than it does to keep it open. Like, people think we're saving money when we shut down the government. We're not. We're losing billions and billions of dollars a day when we shut down the government. It's so dumb.
Yeah, but do we really want that passed? I mean,
I don't have an opinion on it because I haven't read it. So I don't know if, I don't, the, to me, like, my point is we've been doing this for like 10 years. We've been doing these continuing resolutions for so many years, and these continuing resolutions in themselves create an atmosphere where it's much more likely to fail than just passing a damn budget, right? So I can't speak as far as, I don't have an opinion on it because I haven't read the continuing resolution. Because it really doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't. They're going to end up, I don't remember, I saw one of the congressmen talking about it. Might have been a senator. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about, we're going to do all these cuts, but the cuts don't exist in the CR. Like, none of the cuts, according to, who was it? It might have been Rand Paul. It was a curly-headed fuck, so I'm sure it was Rand Paul. Was like, yeah, none of the cuts are in the CR. But I don't know what's in the CR. Am I going to buy a Tesla? No. I'm not going to buy a Tesla. I got a vehicle that's paid for, and I'm going to drive it till the wheels fall off of it. If a recession occurs, will natural gas take a hit? Not likely. I don't see natural gas taking a hit if a recession occurs. You will see temporary, what happens in these kind of recessions, because one thing that matters is what kind of recession it is, right? With this kind of recession, if we have this recession, there will be a very short-term drop in oil and natural gas prices, but it'll just be market sentiment, and they will completely recover fairly quickly, because these price fluctuations in commodities won't be based on fundamentals of the market. They won't be based on supply and demand. They'll just be based on market sentiment due to a recession occurring, and the fundamentals win the day. They always do. So I don't see a recession creating anything other than short-term dips in commodity prices. Even if you go back to like the Great Recession, even the Great Recession, we didn't have a long-term oil crash. We had a very short-term oil crash during the Great Recession, and it was a deep recession. The CR changes the several items to a budget of 0, so they can say they made cuts. It's likely under 0.1%. GDP forecast is less than 1%, says Rosenberg research founder David Rosenberg. So that's more positive than the Atlanta Fed. I don't want the forecast by the Atlanta Fed to be correct. I don't want us to have a recession. That's not a thing. I'm sure there are people out there cheering for that so they can, use it as a political whatever, but I don't want a recession. When an oil company buys land to drill on, is there a limit to how far down they can drill? Is that a thing? Curious minds want to know. An oil company can drill into the hydrocarbon bearing zones that exist below ground that they have a right to drill into. So that's how deep they can drill, basically. When you lease minerals, right? They typically don't buy land. They typically just lease the minerals. But when you do that, sometimes you have all the minerals to all the zones. Sometimes you only have certain zones. You're only allowed to drill into whatever zone you have a right to drill into. If you have all the minerals, then you can drill into the deepest oil-bearing zone that you want to. But if you don't have the rights to drill into specific zones, then you can't, right? And that's how that works. So they can drill as deep as they have a legal right to drill, if that makes any sense.
His shirts are up on YouTube. If you want to look at them, that's what he's wearing. I've seen a couple people asking. He's wearing one of his shirts, and that's what's in the background. They're on YouTube, on his shop. Go over there.
My shop is pinned to my page on YouTube. If you just go to my page, you'll see it. You might as well subscribe to my YouTube while I'm there. Don't cost nothing.
Subscribe while you're there. Absolutely.
Update on the News Girl interview on Monday. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Central, not noon. Monday, March the 17th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be noon West Coast time. 11 o'clock Mountain Time, if in case Kelly's here and she flips out on us for not mentioning Mountain Time. Monday, March 17th, I interview the news girl, Lisa, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you can't catch the live, it'll be up on my YouTube. Hi, Thomas. Thank you, Dale. Yes, Lisa's great. I did something I didn't want to. There we go. Oh, man. You might explain a commingling permit. It's in Oklahoma, we don't need those anymore. Yeah, in Oklahoma, we don't need those anymore. But a commingling permit, as Rusty's talking about, is you apply for a permit with the state that allows you to produce out of multiple zones at one time. Commingle more than one hydrocarbon bearing zone. Many years ago, back in the day, you were not legally allowed, at least in Oklahoma, to produce from more than one zone. You couldn't even get a permit to do it, but you can now. But I don't think you even need one in Oklahoma anymore. Still need them in Texas. I did some work on some wells with my oil company where we commingled some zones, and we didn't have to permit them. We had to report them. We just didn't have to permit them, obviously. But Andrea says, I ain't being nobody's boss unless I get paid. What year did I break out? So for the people that don't know, breaking out is like, when did you start in the oil and gas industry? I broke out in 1992. It was February of 1992 is when I broke out. So did you hear about the no tax on income under 150,000? I've heard a little bit about it. But you know what people need to understand, right? Because there's all this talk about no taxes on this, no taxes, right? No taxes on tips, no taxes on certain incomes, all this stuff. You're still going to pay tax. They're just going to find another way to tax you. That's how it has to work. That's how it has to work. The vast majority of the revenue that the U.S. Treasury brings in, I think it's over $4 trillion of it, comes from income tax. Rusty broke out in 1979. Holy cow, Rusty. I was 5. Good time to break out, though. Good time to break out. We were in the middle of an oil boom. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. David Feldman did a good breakdown of what's in the CR. Okay. It's just, whenever they cut taxes, all they do is move them around so you pay them somewhere else. So, I'm not particularly opposed to I'm not opposed to no taxes on tips. I'm not opposed to no income tax on certain levels. A lot of people on certain income levels don't pay any income tax anyway, because by the time they take their standard deductions and stuff, they just don't have hardly any tax liability, right? So that's certainly not up to $150,000, but just understand that you are going to be taxed somewhere else to make up for that. You just are. If you're not, it'll be the first time. If you're not taxed somewhere else to make up for that, it'll be the first time that's ever happened. And I don't know, they keep talking about replacing income tax with tariffs. Can we generate over $4 trillion a year with tariffs?
I mean, he just put a 200% tariff on wine and stuff.
Right, but I mean, that's going to be what, $20 billion or whatever, $10 billion. I mean, we keep hearing these 10, 20, $30 billion. It takes a whole bunch of those to get to 1 trillion, much less 4 trillion.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying he put a 200% tariff on
I mean,
Europe.
just so we all understand, because I know some of us have forgotten how many zeros are in a trillion, right? It takes 1,000 billion to get a trillion. So we would need over 4,000 billion to replace the income tax. Do we sell enough products? Do other countries send us enough products? And oh, by the way, that $4 trillion would still come from the American taxpayer. And oh, by the way, if tariffs are meant to bring business back to the United States and they work and bring all the business back to the United States, where are we going to get the $4 trillion then? Because then we won't have any tariffs, right? If everyone's buying things made in America, then the amount of money we bring in with the tariffs, which really isn't money we're bringing in because it's coming from the U.S. taxpayer, right? There's not any countries giving us this $4 trillion. It's the U.S. taxpayer giving the government that $4 trillion. They're just doing it a different way, right? They're doing it out of buying things instead of getting taxed on their income. So they still have to pull the same amount of money from the American taxpayer to eliminate income tax. You still have to pay the same amount of tax in order for your income tax to be eliminated. You're just paying it a different way. I mean, your paycheck will go up and you'll feel great, and then you'll go to the store and you'll be like, what the fuck? It does give you the ability to consume less and pay less tax. And if everyone does that, then guess what? That's bad for business. That's bad for the debt. Like I don't understand how any of this works.
You will probably never understand it. None of us will. Like, he doesn't make any sense of what he's doing.
But hey, they worked in the year 1800 because, today's economy is so much like it was in 1800. Oh my God. Oh boy. Whatever. We'll just hang on for the ride and figure it out, I guess. I'm showing the Dow down 537 points right now. We're tripping because the RSS failed. How much horizontal drilling is done with rotary steerable in the U.S. these days? That's a good question. I don't think there's a lot of that done in the United States these days. Mr. Global, your store doesn't ship to Canada, asking for a friend. It should. I have international shipping on there. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll see if I can adjust the settings, but I do have it set for international shipping. Are gas prices going to rise? I believe they're going to rise. We're swapping to summer blend. We're getting into spring and summer. Seasonal demand drives gas prices up. If gas prices don't rise over the next month to 4 to 6 weeks, then the economy is really tanking. The only thing that will prevent gas prices from rising is if the economy just completely collapses. And I'm not talking about what we're seeing right now. I'm talking about something much worse than what we're seeing right now. Is that right? I figured they'd be using it a lot in the Permian. We use steering tools a lot, but I thought you were talking about just off like an old school rotary table. Everything's top drive. But yeah, we have amazing steering technology now that we use. Absolutely. The horizontal sections of our wells went from looking like dinosaur backs up and down, now they're just like straight hole. Very little deviation and very quick. So tariffs won't stop the USD from being the world currency, but it could start slipping its market share. It is definitely, we speculated a lot about if all of this crash was intentional. Every day that goes by, it's certainly looking like it's more, intentional, doesn't it? Gold is almost at $3,000. Wow. Someone said the store does not ship to Canada. I'll get in there and look at the settings, and because I have it set for international shipping, so maybe it's a Shopify thing. I'll figure out a way to make it work. Thank you, Barry. Thank you for the gifts. We're 80% of my goal. Reminder, Monday, March the 17th. That noise is aggravating. Monday, March the 17th, 2 p.m. Central. I will be interviewing the news girl here. That's 2 p.m. Central this coming Monday. That is 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Mountain. Congressman John Larson is outraged as Republicans block Elon Musk from testifying. Yeesh. It feels like we're in just a slow motion, just like, I don't know how to describe it. We're in a free fall, but it's in slow motion, right? I would almost rather this all happen at once and get it over with. Yeah, it's like a train wreck. It's like we know the train is wrecking and we see it a mile ahead of us and we can't do nothing about it. We can't stop. That's what it feels like. I keep having Mr. Global 2.0 pop up. Yes, that's my backup account. That is me. I think it has maybe 90,000 followers. That's how you can verify that it's me. But yes, I am Mr. Global 2.0. That's my backup account. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much. If you've never witnessed a train wreck live, it is crazy. It's the craziest thing I ever seen. Was a really bad train wreck in Monahans, Texas, a few years back, and those cars just piled up like little Tonka toys. It was insane. It was insane.
Did you make a new video for 2 p.m. instead of 12?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay, because I shared the noon one, and I'm going to delete it. When you make the new one, I'll share it.
Yeah. It was Jill. It was like deja vu.
What was?
This time zone thing.
Leave me alone. That's not nice.
I'm just saying. They had a hell of a week in Pecos. Did they have a derailment there as well? There was. Yes, there was a fake Mr. Global in the chat. Trump Tower, New York got a few extra visitors today. What were people protesting? Yeah, the trains out in West Texas run really fast. They do. They absolutely do. Train hit a high pressure separator. Ooh, that's not good. $98 people arrested. Wow. MAGA spelling. What will it take for gas prices at the pump to lower by 50 cents a gallon? Probably $40 oil. Probably $40 oil. Bunch of people got arrested. Was that at Trump Tower? How much of the oil industry does $40 oil put out of business? it certainly puts a large part of the industry out of the business, and the rest of the industry will just stop drilling until prices recover. And $40 oil will result in $100 oil within a year. Protesting the Mahmoud release. Ah, I got you. What happens if Canada puts a 25% tariff, like an export tariff? We pay more for gas. The Dow is down 1,400.
So, user in the comments says, isn't Mountain Standard Time 1 hour ahead of Pacific Standard Time? Don't ask me.
Yes, it is.
I just had to say that.
And don't ask Jill, but yes, it is.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I'm showing the Dow is down 521 as well. I'm not showing 1,400 points. I got it updating live right here, and it's I've refreshed it. It's not changing.
Yeah, I'm getting 518, right?
Yeah. Ryan says it's my job to know that. Yeah, Ryan, it is. It's Ryan's job to know that. Thank you, Ryan. I always look for Ryan when we're talking about this kind of stuff because it's his job. Didn't Trump say anytime the stock market loses more than 1,000 points, the president should be impeached? He did. He did. Should Trump be interested in Venezuela's oil? I mean, I don't know if he should be or not, but he's definitely not. Hi, handsome Harry. My portfolio is down 9% since the tariffs started. I haven't even looked at mine because I just ride this stuff out. So I don't even know what it's down. Not going to look. Are there any more refineries coming online soon? Not to my knowledge. Yeah, I'm currently showing 558. Yeah, that's 500 wouldn't be a huge thing if it was one day, but we've been doing this shit for like a month. Rumors about Florida running out of gas? No, that's misinformation. Florida's not running out of gas. Someone saw an old video from Hurricane Milton and thought it was current and made a video about Florida running out of gas. It's not.
So that just shows you how quickly misinformation spreads.
I know. One guy with a relatively small account, you know, makes a video saying Florida's out of gas. It goes viral. And now I get asked 10 times a day if Florida's running out of gas. Florida's not running out of gas.
Everybody go to that account and tell them that. It's not running out of gas. Take this video down. No, it probably wouldn't help. It probably wouldn't.
How long do you predict till the small companies go belly up? We're not close to that. We're not close to energy companies going belly up. We're not in that conversation yet. Keep in mind natural gas prices are still strong, and so the rise in natural gas prices is going to, in a sense, basically hedge any losses that may come from oil. But at current oil prices, they're not really losing money. They shouldn't be. They should be fine. So. Yeah, natural gas is looking good for a while, like probably 3 to 5 years, and probably more, you know. Probably more. Will there be an increase in fracking in 2025? I mean, not anything that's noticeable. I would suspect it'll look a lot like it does or did in 24. But lower oil prices can actually spur a little more activity in fracking. But the thing is, we don't have a huge inventory of DUCs. That's wells that are drilled but uncompleted. We don't have a huge just backlog of those like we have in the past. So I don't really suspect to see a ton of change in activity in fracking in 25. I'm reading both, Troy. Looks like I'm going to have to do a puzzle. Oh, great.
Have fun with that puzzle.
I already beat it.
So he's reading both, but if you think you're question is getting lost in the chat, head over to YouTube because the chat is slower over there.
Yeah, someone asked about natural gas investing. LNG export terminals is, you know, that's certainly something that's going to be growing a lot in the future. Thank you, Brian. Do you think there will be a big push towards nuclear power in the near future? There's already a bit of a push towards nuclear power. There was some legislation passed in 24 under the Biden administration to help streamline and promote nuclear energy. So I don't expect to see just a ton of nuclear, but you are going to see a little bit more of it being constructed. And keep in mind, those things take years to build. Those aren't short-term projects. Those are very long-term projects, and so it's going to be a long time before they come online. Thank you for the corn, Isaac. I really appreciate that. Yeah, a nuclear plant. I mean, you're up there with building a refinery. Did OPEC reduce the amount of oil they produce to stabilize prices? That's what they claimed. And so, some of the downward pressure on oil prices is because OPEC Plus came out and said that they might increase or do away with some of their old cuts, which would be an increase of 138,000 barrels a day, which isn't much, but a lot of people took that and ran with it. They completely disregarded the part where Kazakhstan has been overproducing their quota by 500,000 barrels a day. That's even, that's played a bigger role in driving down oil prices than anything else is Kazakhstan overproducing. And so that they're supposed to stop doing that. We'll see if they do or not. So one of the problems that OPEC always has is, all of the OPEC nations have a quota. They have a certain amount of oil basically they're allowed to produce, and it's hard to keep them from overproducing and driving down prices. So, if they stop Kazakhstan from overproducing, then that production increase from OPEC Plus will not only be erased, it'll actually be a net negative. Judge Churkin, remember her. She ordered DOGE and Elon Musk to produce documents and answer written questions. They get 21 days. Elon has to admit or deny he's the head of DOGE. I don't understand why they're denying it. I mean, it's pretty obvious to everyone on the planet that he's the head of DOGE. Hell, Trump even said so in his address to the, joint session of Congress. I don't understand what the mystery is. He's obviously the head of DOGE.
Because there's something legally he can't be the head of DOGE or or something, some legality or something. I don't know, but that's what that's about.
Why didn't you comment on my post? Canada will be fine without the U.S. ship on a global market. If I would have seen that, I would have commented on it because it's not true at all. Troy, thank you so much. No, right now I just have t-shirts. I haven't got into coffee mugs yet. But no, Canada does not have another way to get their oil out of the country unless you're talking about something else. But I probably get 100 people a day asking me why I didn't comment on something they posted. I would recommend you sit in my chair for a day and see how many people's posts you can comment on when you have thousands of people a day coming at you. Thank you guys so much for fulfilling my life goal. I can't comment on even 2% of the stuff people expect me to comment on. I would be up 24 hours a day.
So people keep getting ads. I'm getting them too. Sometimes YouTube does that. I don't know why.
Where are they getting ads at?
On YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah, it keeps coming up. Ads keep popping up.
Is there a way to just make them stop?
I don't know.
I
have
didn't.
no idea.
I didn't do anything differently. Go ahead.
Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I didn't do anything differently than I normally do, but I don't know why that happens. Do I need to save my strength for Bob? I think I can handle Bob. I don't think I need to save. Christine, are you able to skip the ads?
You can only skip them by paying for the YouTube.
Oh man. Well, I'll have to see if there's something I can do about that. I don't know why they do that. When I start my live, I do the same thing every day. So I don't set up advertising and all of that when I do my live. I just start it like I do every other day. So I don't know why some days they're on and some days they're not. But
like Navy Vet said, they are pushing to pay for you to pay for the premium service.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they're probably trying to get you to buy the premium service. Which, I mean, I have the premium service, but that's because I use YouTube TV. So, but if I wasn't subscribed to YouTube TV, then I wouldn't have the premium service. But what percentage of the oil market goes to making artificial ingredients for food? A very small percentage. A much larger percentage actually goes into things like fertilizer and other ways, fuel for machinery, farming, all that stuff. That's a much larger percentage than just making the ingredients. That would be a fraction. That would be super, super small. Yeah, nitrogen fertilizer, that's a natural gas product actually. How can Canada get their oil to a larger market? They need more pipelines. Yeah, they need more pipelines going out to the coast. What are the most overlooked factors that can significantly impact long-term profitability? Or profitability of what? So Beth, this shirt says "Drill Baby Drill." That's not a thing. And then this shirt says "The 51st State." No, that's not a thing. So that's what these two shirts say.
His shirts are up in the shop on YouTube if you want to go look at them all. Beth?
So I would say the most overlooked factor that can significantly impact long-term profitability is inflation. And this is so inflation is a huge thing. And I'll give you an example. You know, to this day, everyone's talking about break-even prices for oil being $50, $55 on average. But what a lot of people don't realize is that inflation impacts corporations the same way it impacts people. It's no different in your company or your house. The inflation still exists. And we were saying $50 oil 10 years ago. Well, $50 is not $50 anymore. $50, you cannot have the inflation we've had and have $50 break evens in 2025 if that's what you had in 2015. That's not a thing, because $50 is not $50 anymore. $50 is now $40 or $35. And when you look at it from that perspective, you talk about when you're investing in projects that are very long term, that are 15, 20, 25-year projects, the inflation of that dollar and how much oil prices have to continue to rise for you to continue to make a profit is a huge factor in future profitability. If you're drilling a well and oil's $60 and that's good for you, the worst thing that can happen to you is for oil to continue to be $60 10 years later. Because that $60 10 years later is not $60 anymore. Now it's $50 because of inflation, right? So the true value of the dollar. And one of the mistakes that oil companies make is they place monetary value on dollars instead of barrels of oil. And the right way to do it is to look at a barrel of oil and say, what is the purchasing power of a barrel of oil in 2025? Forget about the dollar. Just what is the purchasing power of that barrel of oil if you were going to use it as money, right? And then you try to forecast what the purchasing power of that barrel of oil will be in 2030 and 2035. And so they concentrate a lot on dollars when they need to be looking at the purchasing power of a barrel of oil, because a barrel of oil is no different than a dollar. It's something that you can use to trade to get something else. It's no different. A barrel of oil is literally a barrel of currency. That's what it is. And so one of the most overlooked things is inflation, for sure. People often think, oil's $70. That's great. It's not that great. How far does your $70 go today compared to how far it went 10 years ago, right? That price impacts companies the same way it impacts people in their household budget. So $70 oil is not great. It's just not. It's not bad, but it's not near as great as it used to be, because $70 ain't $70 no more. Good question, by the way. Yes, Bob is back being dumb. Jill, I thought about making a t-shirt that said, "My vote cost me my job." But the thing is, I don't know if those people would buy it. What if the shirt said, "Your vote cost you your job," instead of "My vote cost me my job"?
Maybe
Do you think carbon capture will continue to be a thing? Yes, it will. As a matter of fact, the EIA just announced that they're going to add the tonnage, the tonnage of carbon captured onto their STEO, their weekly report that they come out. So, the EIA, that's the site that I use to get a lot of my data. They keep track of everything. They keep track of oil production, natural gas production, consumption, prices. Like they keep all this data, and they're adding things to it now. Now they're going to add hydrogen production and consumption to it, and they're also going to add carbon capture. How many tons of carbon have we captured? That's going to become a thing on the EIA website, so people can keep track of that. I can't remember what the third one. Best way to capture carbon is by growing trees. That's a pretty good way to do it. You're going to start seeing a lot of carbon capture facilities being stood up next to refineries, next to factories, next to things that emit a lot of carbon. You're going to see carbon capture facilities stood up next to them. I do have two accounts. My other account is Mr. Global 2.0, but you can follow this one. That's right. They can't tax trees. Many oil companies like carbon capture because they can pretend that their CO2 flood is saving the planet. That's true. And keep in mind, companies make money with carbon capture. Right now it's all government money. Like there are no customers currently, at least in the United States. It's government. It's the government paying you to take carbon out of the air. That is the profit model for carbon capture right now. That'll change in the future. But right now, that's the profit model. Does the government maintain the EIA? The government does fund the EIA, but it is supposed to be a nonpartisan, separate organization. But it is funded by the government. Ashton doesn't like me, Jill. He says I'm wrong 99.9% of the time.
So Ashton is wrong 100% of the time.
Well, I've only ever seen him make one comment, and that one was wrong. So, yes, for our anecdotal experience with Ashton, he's wrong 100% of the time. He's wrong more than I am.
Yes, he is. Would you like to say goodbye to Ashton?
He's fine. You can say goodbye to him. I don't need to.
That's what I mean. Do you want me for you to say goodbye to him? Because Ashton's out of here.
Oh, bye, Ashton.
I should have blocked him on mine. Damn it. Well, you can get him when he comes into mine.
Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, Carrie. Hi, White Bear. They just had a town meeting at my son's workplace, and the boss asked who voted for Trump. Of the 45 people, 30 raised their hands, and he said, "You will be the first to get pink slips." Wow. Probably not a good move to say that in public in front of those people. Like, he just opened himself up to, a lot of wrongful termination. But I mean, some things you just don't say out loud. Some things you don't say out loud. Would the government defund the EIA? There was actually some discussion about the government defunding the EIA just a few weeks ago. But I think it kind of fell to the wayside. Carbon capture is expensive and always will be. Without subsidies, it's cheaper to build wind turbines. It is very expensive. It is carbon capture is not a thing that is, anywhere near being a profitable business model without complete support from the government. Yeah, if that guy wants to fire people because they voted for Trump, that's his deal. He just shouldn't be telling people that. he should probably keep that to himself. The EIA is the Energy Information Administration. It's where all of our data is stored. It's public. You can get to it. Go to eia.gov. It's all of the data for every type of energy produced, all of the production data, all of the consumption data, pricing, forecasts. They're not that great at forecasting, in my experience. But to be fair, forecasting is very difficult in the energy industry. And that's why when I forecast anything, I have to pretty much know I'm right before I'll even open my mouth, because it's, energy is one of the most, it is really hard to forecast. Is the API less biased than the EIA? No, the API is way more biased than about anybody. The EIA is just data. It's just data, right? The API is extremely biased. The API is, to me, the API is like the NRA of the oil and gas industry. Unfortunately, they have become so politically motivated. I don't pay attention to anything the API says. I don't care what the API says. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you very much. Who are the most prolific misinformationists I've noticed? Oh my God. That's hard to say. It just seems like everybody these days is just spitting misinformation for attention. It's insane. If I don't know something, I'll just say so. Like, I'm not gonna, if you ask me a question and I don't know, I'll say I don't know. Like, it doesn't bother me to not know. I'm certainly not going to make something up. That's crazy. Sean Hannity has to be up there, huh? Sean Hannity's got to be. Herf says the White House press secretary. Yeah, she's definitely up there. Yeah, the White House press secretary is. Yeah, Ned, if you go to my YouTube channel and look under the live section, you'll find it'll be the show will say interview with Will Westmoreland. It won't be under that's not a thing. It'll when I interview people, I title my show that interview. That way people can find them. Where would I find all of the funding bills for the government? On, what is it, congress.gov, I think is the name of the website. Congress.gov. Oh, thank you so much. Charles, thank you so much for that galaxy. The older millennial is definitely a monster misinformation character. Oh my God. Charles S. sent the galaxy. Thank you, Charles. Do you have any advice on how to deal with angry Americans against Canada? I've just been asking them what they're angry about. Like, you know. New merch not shipping to Canada. So BP, I have it set for international shipping. I'll get in there and try to adjust that and see if there's a way I can set it up to where it will ship to Canada, because I do have international shipping. So I'll get in there and see if I can fix that. Because I have it all set up. So Navy Vet says congress.gov or democracywatchtracker.org all together. The press secretary is married to a 72-year-old? Really? Does he look young? Does he look 72?
He is 72 is what I heard.
So Leah says 57.
Yes.
Hi, L. Cook. Shout out from a blue dot in a very red Texas. I mean, you know, I'm kind of a live and let live kind of person. I really don't care if I couldn't care if she's married to a 100-year-old, but I would like to see what they look like. So this says he is 59 years old.
So he's only 59?
He's 59. She's 32.
All right.
And that was as of 2 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago. So unless he's had a birthday, he's 59.
Several birthdays.
I would not want to have a baby at 59 years old. You know that what was it, Alec Baldwin? That dude's having kids and he's like, how old is that dude?
72 is the new 59, Mr. Smarty Pants said. So I heard the rumor of him being that old too.
Well, it's kind of true. Like 72 is kind of the new 59. When I was a kid, people that were 59 years old looked like they were 100. like totally. They totally did. Have you seen Cher? How old is Cher? She's out here singing. She looks a lot like she looked 30 years ago. What is she, like 75 or something?
Yeah. I don't know her exact age, but she's older, yes.
Alicia says he looks 70 and she acts 23.
Maybe that's why they're saying he's 70 something because he looks it. I don't see. I haven't seen him, so I don't know.
Jobu says Cher is 78. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, I mean, she didn't look that much different to me. Of course, she's got a ton of makeup on and she's on camera and she's like probably 100 feet from the camera. So, yeah.
I think she looks pretty good. I do. I think she looks pretty good.
Yeah, she damn sure does not look 78. If I would have had to guess her age, it would not have been 78.
No.
Her boyfriend is 40. Wow. Yeah, I bet Cher's got a lot of plastic in her face. Yeah, she's a walking hydrocarbon molecule. So wait, Cher is the same age as Donald Trump, is that right? Because he's like 78.
Yeah, but he looks 78. Well, he actually looks like he's like 98, but you know. He's got that washboard face.
Yeah. Yeah. You could do laundry on his face. Totally. Totally could. You could totally do laundry on that dude's face. I shouldn't say anything. You'd be able to do laundry on my face pretty soon. I'm getting old.
I do not want to grow old and be on camera near you or meet you with when I'm old. No.
Why?
Because you'll be like, look at your washboard face.
Okay, I only said that
Because of what she did.
about a lady that kept someone in captivity for 20 years. But I also said it because it's true. If her forehead didn't look like a washboard, I wouldn't have said so. If she was a decent person, I wouldn't have said so. I would have just kept it to myself. I need to get her a hat with like a handle on top of it. That way you can pull her head back when you're scrubbing.
Oh my God.
I did laugh. Like I laughed when Caroline Levitt suggested that someone was insulting her when he questioned her knowledge about tariffs. Wow.
I think Juju wants to know who you're talking about.
Oh, the lady from Connecticut that held her stepson captive in a room for over 20 years. What's her name? Kimberly Sullivan. You'll be hearing a lot about her. Yeah.
She deserves to be picked on.
Yeah. Her forehead looks like a washboard. Or, a workbench. Something with a vice on it. I don't know. I wish, wouldn't it be great if she came in alive?
I don't think she'd be able to come in alive. Isn't she? Is she out on bail?
I wonder if we could get a phone to her and if I could interview her.
Oh my God.
What?
That actually would Yes, do it.
Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, so what questions do I ask Kimberly Sullivan, the woman who held her child captive for over 20 years, locked in her room? What do I ask?
Well, you know she's denying it.
She's going to deny it. But I got to keep her on, right? I can't push too hard or she'll leave the live. What's wrong with me? There's not anything wrong with me. I want to talk to this person. What's wrong with me, Pete? What do you mean what's wrong with me?
Pete, you know what's wrong with him.
I want to find out like what. Yeah, I could ask her about her life, how she grew up. But there's nothing wrong with me for wanting to talk to this person. Oh, that's what I should ask her is what's wrong with her. I thought well, when you said what's wrong with you, I mean, it's
that's what you should ask her.
I know that's what he meant, but him asking me what's wrong with me is a perfectly legitimate question too, if we're being honest. Like, why do you want to interview this person? That's a legitimate question. He could have meant that. I would have been fine with it.
Well, because there's nothing wrong with you. Because there's going to be a lot of people that's going to want to interview her.
Yeah. I doubt I get that interview.
What's the best place to keep a kid? Someone said, oh my God.
Well, that was a storage room is where she kept him, right? It was in a storage that didn't have any windows. I get that a lot. Lana in Japan. I get that a lot. I don't know why. People tell me that my videos are calming. And I have you ever thought that, Jill?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just a coincidence because I don't intend for them to be calming.
Even the angry ones are.
Even the angry ones? Okay. Well, I guess that's good. I never thought about it. It is a compliment. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you, Lana, in Japan.
Come on, Navy vet. I know him very well, and I still think the videos are, right?
What the? Yeah, normally when I have interactions with people, people don't tell me I'm calming. That's not a thing that's ever happened in my life. It's usually the opposite of that, but maybe I'm different on social media. I don't know.
You are different in your videos, yes.
The rest of the internet is screaming and you speak. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I should scream.
Even whenever you're screaming at them, like you're mad and angry, it's like we're cheering for you to really tell that person off.
Well, thank you for that. That must be something I've developed over time. Jill, you can be calming too.
No, I can't.
Yeah, that video where you're like, I've had no fucking sleep.
Yeah. Is that calming? Was it calming?
No, not at all.
It wasn't.
I got no fucking sleep. Like, I laugh when I see that. Why the fuck do I gotta block Facebook? I've had no sleep.
Like, I needed to know if there was like a new conspiracy out there, you know?
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I knew why you were asking. It was funny. Andrea says my kids have probably worn me down. That's exactly what happened. My kids have worn me down. They don't know that though. They still think I'm loud, but why are gas prices down? Gas prices are the same price they were on election day. They're not really down. They're just down after they increased, right? But they're down because, the market is crashing on a daily basis. Oil has lost, I don't know, 15% of its value or so. And, everything's crashing. That's why gas prices are where they are. If the market, without the tariffs and everything going on and just under normal conditions, right? Gas would probably be 5 to 10 cents higher right now on a national average. So, all of this market stuff and the economy stuff, it has slowed down the pace at which gas prices are going to rise through spring. It's definitely delayed it by a couple of weeks at the least. But we're starting to see the gas prices rise in the South. Gas prices were up 8 cents in 1 week, last week in Texas. And that's going to work its way north. And, within 2 or 3 weeks, the whole country will be on summer blend. Seasonal demand will be in full effect. Spring break will be here. Gas prices will be rising. So if you're enjoying gas prices where they are right now, then you should go fill up because they're going to rise. They're going to rise. Unless the economy completely collapses and then all bets are off. But and the funny thing, I follow a couple of other oil and gas experts, and when they're asked what gas prices are going to do, they say no comment. They're so afraid of being wrong, and there's so much uncertainty in the market that they will not comment on what gas prices will do. I'll comment. I feel the way I feel. I still think they're going to rise, and if I turn out to be wrong, so be it. But I don't know if the economy is going to collapse or not. I don't mind missing a gas price prediction in this day and age, this year of our Lord. One, because I got a pretty spotless record when it comes to predictions, so I don't mind missing one, right? And let's be honest, it's a good thing if gas is cheaper. That's good for everyone, right? So it's not a bad thing for gas prices to drop. The thing that drives me nuts about it is the misinformation surrounding why things happen. That's what really drives me crazy. If it were up to me, gas would be $2 a gallon for everybody, and we would all be living in a just a wonderful time, I guess. But yeah, and economists are predicting we're going to be in a recession. So your oil and gas analyst, expert type people, they stop making predictions during times like this because they're so worried about being wrong and losing some credibility. I don't care. If I'm wrong, I'll make it up on the next one. Doesn't matter to me. That is true. Anisotropic. You cannot have the world's largest economy and be an isolationist country. That's not a thing. You can't do that. I agree with you 100%. But one of the problems we have is people think the economy is personal to them. We've lost the ability. Um, we've lost the ability to think about anything beyond ourselves. So, people in this country, if they're saving 10 cents on a gallon of gas, they think that's great. And, if 100,000 people had to lose their job for that to happen, then so be it, right? So we're really bad about only thinking about self in this country. But with that being said, what do you really expect? The working person in this country has been getting fucked over for their whole lives. So why would they think about anybody other than themselves? No one's ever thought about them. No corporations or government has ever worried about them, right? So man, I'm getting messages like crazy. So it's somewhat understandable. Did you watch the Newsom Bannon interview? I did not. I did not. Did Newsom have Steve Bannon on his new podcast? Who are America's closest allies if Europe, Mexico, and Canada are lost? I guess Japan. Japan and maybe Australia. India would be on the fence. I don't know about India, but yeah. Someone said the Azores. Reba says Australia's mad too. Oh, hell, we lost another one. Yeah.
Yes, Australia is.
I shouldn't say Japan because he'll piss them off too. That's true. Is the United States being canceled? Is the United States being canceled by the rest of the world?
Pretty much, yes. Yes.
We're like a case of Bud Light in 2022, or whenever that was. Yeah, we're being canceled.
You definitely are.
Bill Burr is being canceled from Twitter. I have a feeling Bill Burr doesn't mind being canceled. Bill Burr tries to get canceled. I'm pretty sure I could be friends with Bill Burr. Bob is canceled from TikTok? No. We don't want Bob to be canceled. That's free content. Bill Burr called out Elon for being a dye hair plug laminate face. Wow. I knew I liked that guy.
I was just going to say that. I knew I liked him. Wow, yeah. It's the truth, though. I mean, the truth hurts sometimes, though.
Has Bob made another appearance? Yes, Bob came out today and claimed that the United States is now at record oil production. We've increased oil production in the United States by over 300,000 barrels a day under the Trump administration.
Where's he getting these numbers? Like, do you know where he's getting them from?
Yeah, he's lying.
Is it AI?
No, he's lying.
He's just lying.
Yeah.
So he's getting them from himself.
So you have weekly numbers, you have yearly averages, you have all of this stuff, right? So what he does is he will compare a weekly number, which oil production on any given week can rise or fall by a couple 100,000 barrels a day. It's oil production's not that different from gas prices. It goes up and it goes down. A lot of it depends on how it's reported. Anyway, he was claiming that, you know, at the end of 2024, we were producing 13.3 million barrels a day, and now we're producing 13.6. At the end of 2024, we averaged 13.3 million barrels a day for the entire year, but we were already producing 13.6. We were already producing more than 13.6. In December 2024, we were producing 13.65 million barrels of oil a day. We hit 13.6 this week, and he's saying that he's lying. He's fucking lying. He knows he's lying, and I called him out in the video for knowing he's lying. We're actually producing less. We're producing less than we were at the end of 2024.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And I know that he's lying because he knows all of these numbers, which means he's seen all of the numbers. Because to know what we produced this week, he has to look at the weekly numbers. And when you look at the weekly numbers right here, about 2 inches above that are the weekly numbers from December. So he knows we were producing more in December than we are now. He's just lying. I think you should speak to Bob's loneliness and stop correcting him. Maybe I should. Maybe I should speak to his loneliness.
I'm staying out of that. I'm not going to speak to Bob's loneliness. Bob can fuck off.
Jill.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about Bob.
You know, the funny thing about Bob is I told him a couple of months ago that I'd make him famous. And he never came out and thanked me for that.
This is great. Yes, I'm going to message Bob because, you know, I'm the mod here. So I'm going to message Bob and tell Bob that he has not thanked you yet and that he needs to thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we all talk about Bob at least once every day in this live. And everyone here knows who he is.
It's just that nobody's following him.
Everybody, I made Bob famous. He needs to thank me for that. Bob isn't near as lonely as you think he is. He's famous. And I still got to do a video about Bob and his eyelid exercises. I've been holding that back. Like I downloaded the clip of him doing his eyelid exercises that he learned from AI. I seen an analyst expecting $60 oil by the. Thank you, Isabel. Dos Gringos says, I saw an analyst expecting $60 oil by the second half of 2025. What's your expectations? So the analysts, largely disagree on this. The EIA has come out a couple of days ago and said that they now predict a tightening market all the way through the halfway point of the year. And they have actually revised up their oil price forecast for
into July 2025, they've actually increased their oil price forecast to $75. What I'm looking at is current inventories. We have been, all the data we've seen before, or all of the information we've gotten before, not the exact data, has told us that we're going into a softening market. But what we're seeing here as we enter this sort of softening market is demand is starting to rise fairly quickly overseas in emerging countries, and then we found out that Kazakhstan was overproducing, right? They were underreporting their production. So we were pumping 500,000 barrels a day into the market, more than we even thought we were. And that's not significant for a day or a week or even a month, but when you do that for an entire year, that's fairly significant. So with that 500,000 barrel a day overproduction that wasn't reported, we still have very low inventories. So the market's becoming a little more clear now, and it appears to be tightening instead of softening. But I'm not ready to predict. I don't think oil will be $60 unless the economy crashes. If the everything right now is if the economy crashes or not. That's the whole thing. If you can predict if the economy crashes, then everything else is easy to predict, right? I don't know if the economy is going to crash. I can tell you a lot on April the 2nd, but if the economy crashes, $60 is about right. If it doesn't, it's going to be about $70 or $75. So we'll have to wait till the first week of April and see what the first quarter GDP numbers look like. So we're getting conflicting data on that, right? So we'll just have to see. From a supply demand, all of the normal fundamental factors, oil would be $75. I would agree with $75 oil that the EIA is predicting, but when there's so much uncertainty in the economy, it's hard to say. It might all come crashing down tomorrow, Hello, Franco. What is the latest regarding Canadian oil versus Venezuelan oil into the United States? Well, we have stopped Venezuelan oil into the United States. The Canadian oil into the United States is not going to stop. Hawk has just published a video of Elon confirming a tweet that the crash was their plan. That is a line of thinking with a lot of people. They think you got to tear everything down to build it back. I don't know why, but, I'm sure they have figured out a way to make a fortune on it. Why else would you crash the economy if there wasn't something in it for you, right? On the other hand, you can't take anything Elon Musk says in a tweet seriously at all. I mean, he's literally an internet troll. You know what I mean? He is. At what price per barrel should we start a GoFundMe to support poor oil companies and their CEOs? I wouldn't worry about a GoFundMe. The government will bail them out. Yeah, the government will bail them out. Elon Musk is the definition of an immigrant causing people to lose their jobs. I'm anxious to see if they will actually rehire the 20,000 or so employees the judge ordered them to rehire today. Yeah. It's kind of strange that Elon Musk used to hang out with Obama, though, right?
He hung out with Obama?
Yeah. He used to be a Democrat.
Well, I heard that he used to be a Democrat, but I didn't
Well,
know he hung out with Obama.
by hang out, I mean he made some appearances with him.
I didn't even know that.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that they, hang out on the beach together or anything like that, but he made some appearances with Barack Obama back in the day. Zipping says 20,000. It was 200,000. It may have been the story. The story that I read was 20,000, but they could have got it wrong. It may have been 200,000. It's like burning your house down when it needs paint. Jill likes to have her house painted.
I do?
Have you ever burned it down to paint it?
No. No, but that gives me an idea. Like maybe I could get my husband to paint it if I do that. Wait, that wouldn't work, I don't think.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, hey, it's your world.
Wait a minute, it's my world, yes.
Yeah.
You should give me better advice. Like you should just say, no, you don't do that.
I said I wouldn't recommend it. Do I need to say it twice? I would not recommend that. I would not do that.
Okay.
Think of something else.
Hi, Kelly.
Here's an idea, Jill.
Okay.
Pick the wall you want painted.
Mm-hmm.
Go draw a big pecker on it. It'll get painted.
That I like.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that with a permanent marker.
Yeah, so it can't come off.
Yes, right in my bathroom and in the kitchen because those are the two rooms I need painted right now.
And just hope he doesn't come home and say, "Oh, I like that."
He won't. You know what I could do for real? I could put some wallpaper up. He would lose it.
Oh, that's too much work. You could just draw a pecker.
Okay. I'm talking about just slap a couple pieces of wallpaper on there, like quick and easy.
Oh, okay. Not actually wallpapering it.
No, not actually wallpapering it. Just slap a small piece here and there. He would lose it.
You got any laying around?
No, I don't, but I probably could get a hold of some.
I bet you got a Sharpie laying around. You could just draw a pecker on it.
I always have a Sharpie laying around. Yes, I have several colors too. Should I do it in red, yellow, green, blue, black? What color should I use?
If you want it to look infected, you could do it in red, yellow, and green.
Yes, I'm going to do it. I think he's home. I hope he don't hear us.
Oh, boy. Well, everyone, it is 4 o'clock. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Don't forget, Monday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm interviewing the news girl. That's 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Mountain. Here on YouTube only. It will be on YouTube only. It won't be on TikTok. If you miss it, you can come back to my channel and watch it later. Jill?
Thank you, everyone, for the gifts. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.